Hello, and welcome to another episode of If You Don't Have It, You Can't Sell It. I'm Ryan Carbone with Inventory Optimizer, and today I'm joined by Craig Barnell with Fisher's Finery. And today we want to talk about 2025, how it pertains to Inventory Optimizer as well as to Fisher's Finery. And on that note, I'm going to hand it off to Craig just to go into how Q4 finished for Fisher's Finery, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. 2025. I'm excited to close this chapter. This was one of the most difficult years in business that I've experienced. And as you can tell by the gray and the lack of hair, I've been around a little while. So, with the advent of the change in the administration, with the tariffs and a bunch of other things that were going on, it was a terribly difficult year to navigate. It really emphasizes the value of having software that doesn't get emotionally committed. It just looks at the data. And in looking at the data, we trusted the forecast. As you know, we've been using the product for a long time, and we ordered what we needed to order. We were able to be adaptive and responsive to the changes. So we were able to increase orders to, beat the increases in tariffs at times. And then when they did go down, we were able to increase the orders to backfill. And entering 2025 Q4, when we last spoke, we were anticipating a solid end of the year. And I have to say that it far exceeded expectations. And the fact that our software was able to look at what the trends in the seasonality was and what our sales velocity was, we were able to order the amount of inventory to effectuate a double-digit increase on Amazon, just over 10%, but almost a 40% increase on our Shopify store. So 2025 ended up being an outstanding year.
Well, congratulations. And how it pertains to Inventory Optimizer, how were you able to use Inventory Optimizer in Q4 as well as during the previous months to help benefit Fisher's Finery and make the business decisions that you did to be so successful this year?
Yeah, well, I wish I knew exactly what to do because then we would just replicate it, right? But as things were changing and the software, the platform was identifying sales growth, we were able to change our service level so that we ordered more of the better selling stuff. We were able to decrease service level on some of the less important children of parents, and then ultimately the biggest change for us, having again been on this platform for almost a decade, was when you and the development team launched the lost sales function. We thought we were doing a pretty good job at 92 to 93% stock order performance, which is decent, right? But what it did was remarkable. So by removing the data, if you had no sale because of no inventory, and then using what would have sold or what your sales velocity is, removing those days, we instantly placed two purchase orders, and they weren't massive. Low six-figure purchase orders with two different manufacturers that we use, one in Vietnam, one in Pakistan, two different classes of products. One's women's apparel, and the other one is towels and robes and those types of things. So, but the combination of that product, at cost being about $250,000 from those two different manufacturers. Well, but the retail value, right? It's the number of units. So our unit sales went from about 161,000 units sold. I'm sorry, orders, not units, orders. 161,000 orders in 24 to almost 200,000 in 2025. To have the inventory to run with that type of increase, when we don't order, we don't order a year of inventory in advance. We place our purchase orders with some of our manufacturers monthly. So we try to be as close to just in time as we can for cash flow implication reasons. But the software was so agile, and the advent of the lost sales tracking was so impactful that we were able to run up, and stay on top of that demand and have product to fulfill all the way through Q4.
Yeah, and I know you use AWD as well. Did this year did you have any issues with long-term storage fees at all with FBA, or was that another thing that you were able to avoid this year?
Well, starting with last year, or was that two or three? I forget how long ago it's been. It's at least going into the third year with AWD. there was no component, there was no way to withdraw inventory out of FBA and push it back to AWD. So what we did is starting the year, because we had the forecasting tools to know what was going to be selling by month, by quarter, we were able to use our forecasted demand or our sales forecasts from Inventory Optimizer, pull inventory back out of FBA, and circumvent that issue where you can't replenish, Ryan. If you take inventory out, they block you from replenishing. So you've got to have reliable forecasts, otherwise you can't get inventory in. So in the movement of inventory, because of that ability with using Inventory Optimizer and leveraging the demand forecasting, we were able to decrease our long-term storage fees by almost $80,000 in 2025. The profitability that added was instrumental to just making it a fantastic year.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on the inventory optimizer side, we also launched Shopify, our Shopify integration. So any users out there who aren't selling on Amazon but are using Shopify, we can provide you with a solution for your inventory management and inventory forecasting. As well as our ShipStation integration. ShipStation integration was also launched several months ago. So again, simple one-click syncs for both those products through either ShipStation or through Shopify's App Store. So you can get started with those as well. Now, I know that Craig and Fisher's Finery, they sell on their Shopify site, but because they use multi-channel fulfillment, they actually use the Amazon sync. And if you're already using MCF with Amazon, then you don't need to worry about connecting Shopify. But any users out there who are a little bit on the, wondering if they should start using MCF to fulfill orders for their Shopify, it's a great idea. You could definitely use it, and you could leverage Inventory Optimizer to help with the launch of your Shopify web store. As you can see with Fisher's Finery, over this past year, they saw 40% growth on their Shopify store and 10% growth on Amazon. And plus, your margins on Shopify are substantially better than what you do selling on Amazon. That's also right?
Yeah, Ryan, when you don't have to pay that 15% commission to Amazon, that makes a substantive difference. I will say that sometimes I have to put my nerd hat on and dive into the data a little too much. So using the Shopify sync, even though the numbers are rolled up into our Amazon integration, by separating out the Shopify sync and setting up almost a Fisher's Finery Shopify inside Inventory Optimizer, we were able to look at the products that sell in higher volume off Amazon, separate from them rolling into the Amazon. And the reason that became critically important and allowed us to run up for the 40% on Shopify is that Amazon listings stay live if you have inventory in AWD, Amazon Warehouse and Distribution. As it moves through into the FCs, those orders or your listings on Amazon stay saleable. People can buy it, just has a future delivery date. That's not true on MCF. Until a product is slotted in an FC, the listing on Shopify goes dark. So by looking at our forecasting model in totality with our Amazon instance, but the micro forecast or the Shopify forecast, what it did is it allowed Kayla, who you work with on my team, it allowed Kayla to over push extra inventory into Amazon way past what Amazon's own forecasting tools had said to send in for replenishment. And I mean, Ryan, in some cases it was double, 100% more than Amazon was requesting. And that again is why we were able to run Shopify so much higher, because if just because you have the product, until it's slotted, you go dark on your Shopify store. So the advent of you and the development team breaking out Shopify allowed us to look in a much more focused way and enhance our replenishment to really focus on MCF for the first time in our history. And that is another reason that we were able to move up to a 40% increase in sales. All indications are we're going to be able to keep this trend going, because we're not going to be running into those issues where theoretically we have inventory, but just because you have it doesn't mean it's saleable. And being able to focus with that new Shopify integration, Ryan, has been revolutionary.
That's awesome to hear. And our focus this past year has been on scalability. We wanted to make Inventory Optimizer available to the smallest of sellers as well as to the largest of sellers on Amazon as well as Shopify, ShipStation. But that's why we included now for many of our enterprise users, one of the things that we've had requested is an SFTP integration. So now you'll be able to pull in your inventory via an automatic sync that could be processed through our SFTP. And that way your inventory is always up to date, even if it does not exist in one of our native integrations. So, if your ERP is able to support SFTP, we'll be able to work with you. So if you have any questions about that, me or another member of the team here at Inventory Optimizer would be happy to sit down and have that conversation and get you up to speed and get your trial started to make sure that it works for your business.
Yeah, not me though, Ryan. I am not the SFTP guy. But I will say that, by mentioning the scalability side of what we've done in Inventory Optimizer, switching my hats now to the Inventory Optimizer side, by going to an unstructured Mongo database where we can ingest huge volumes of data and the data is queryable, you can search on top of that data just as fast as Google does for a regular person searching on the internet. I am so excited, and I don't want to jump the gun, Ryan, but the BI dashboard that we've been working on, and then once that comes out, we're going to have that functionality where if sales are outpacing inventory and you're going to run out of stock, we're going to be able to adjust your spend levels on Amazon advertising and or increase pricing to slow demand down. I mean, those are just massive changes coming in 2026. So as good as 25 was, I can't even imagine what's going to happen in 26 with some of the features that you and the team are developing.
I think you put it in a great way. I mean, 2025, we really laid the foundations for what we're going to have in 2026 with the BI dashboard, with our repricing functionality around inventory, as well as our suggested budget reallocation for advertising inside of Amazon. These are all things that are coming in early Q1 that we're really going to be pretty excited for. Please stay tuned, subscribe, follow us, and we'll have those videos coming out soon as we're further along in the development process. But we're pretty close to having the beta testing to get started on both those features. So anyone who's out there who's an existing customer or a trial, you'll start seeing these features rolling out probably within the next month or so.
Oh, that's fantastic, Ryan. Thanks for all the hard work and for the impact that the platform and your team had with Fisher's Finery. And I can't wait for 2026 to get going.
Yeah, thank you so much, Craig, and to everybody out there. Thank you for joining us on this journey in 2025, and we hope you all have a fantastic 2026. And again, please like, subscribe, comment below if you have any questions, concerns, anything that you want clarified, or reach out and schedule a meeting with a member of the Inventory Optimizer team, and we can sit down and have a discussion. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.